All right, so most people think that you just completely cannot make money with YouTube or any social media if you don't have this massive following of people. And I'm just here to tell you that that is a fallacy. That is so far from the truth, I can't even tell you. And this is coming from somebody who, well, last week I was with the Gary Vaynerchuk. I was at VaynerMedia, which is where he works. I got to spend the day with him and a bunch of other awesome people. And also I got to meet the creator of Stan Store, the founder, the owner. This is the shirt I'm wearing right now from them. And because I use their platform to make all of my money with, well, I also got this plaque right here, which is basically an award that you get when you earn over $100,000 with Stan Store. In this video, what I want to do is I want to show you guys, first of all, how I made $100,000, 6 figures in a month's time using only 2 things. I used YouTube and I used Stan Store. That's it. And I was able to build out this really simple ecosystem. And I was able to pull on really 3 main levers in order to basically just make a small micro audience on YouTube print cash for me using Stan Store. With that being said, guys, I'm going to run you through the blueprint of how I did this so that hopefully you can copy me and just do the exact same thing. Now, before we jump into this, I want to tell you that I just released a completely free training on the step-by-steps how I made 6 figures in 30 days time. Basically how I scaled or grew a business to 6 figures, which is 100K, using nothing but the two mechanisms or tools I told you, which is YouTube and Stan Store. How to do it minimalistically and how to do it strategically at the same time. And it's way deeper than anything we go over in this video. So if you guys want to check that out after this video, it'll be in the first link below. So the very first thing that you need to understand that I understood, meditated on, thought about, and implemented was the fact that we all have unique unfair advantages in this game of business and in the game of content. And when creating content-led businesses, so basically making money with anything, whether it's using Stan or different funnels or different offers, whatever it is, if we're using social media, so YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok, in my case, I talk only about YouTube exclusively. If we're doing any sort of content-led business or traffic to generate business, then what I'm about to tell you is going to be applicable for you. And it's that you have to understand we're all playing a different game, even when we're playing the same game. I know that sounds ridiculous. What do I mean? When I first started out with Stan, like for example, in this case, I was like, all right, I'm going to build out my entire offer ecosystem with this tool called Stan Store. When I did that, my first intuition was to go look at the top performers on Stan, right? The top people making the most amount of money with the tool. And I noticed one commonality. A lot of them all had a huge following. None of them had the amount of followers or subscribers I had. At the time, I was sitting at 24,000 subscribers, and I'd never even really touched Instagram or TikTok. It was all through YouTube. And I was like, okay, right away, I know that we're all playing the game. But me and those people, if I want to make this work for me at the same level of revenue as them, I'm going to have to play a different game. This is what I mean. If you watching this are a micro creator, so if you're like 50,000 subscribers or less, then you're probably going to fall into this bucket or this group. And you need to understand that when we go look at these other people, we are playing a different game than them. By the way, I just realized that I haven't explained what Stan Store is. If you guys aren't sure what Stan is, it's basically like a really excellent all-in-one kind of creator-led tool. It's like a really cool place where you could build out your own offers and have a place for them to live really beautifully. And it's really like made for content creators. It's again, I'm pretty software agnostic and I'm not sponsored by them, but yeah, I still recommend them constantly. They're genuinely an amazing tool, and it's literally the tool I use to generate the revenue. Now, when I was looking at what those people did, those big people who were already crushing it on Stan Store when I was starting, I realized that we were playing a different game. I realized that a lot of them, they have such big followings that they're playing a follower monetization game. Right? And I knew that that's not a game I could play, and I know a lot of you guys could probably resonate with that. If you're like me and you have a micro audience, right? Anything under 50K, like I said, our game is going to be a game of leverage and conversion, right? We want the same outcomes and we're using the same tools, but different games. And if people with micro channels or audiences try playing the same game as those creators who have massive audiences, huge audiences, if you copy their offers, their funnels, their Stan Store page layouts, whatever, if you follow their messaging, all of it, if you follow it, what's going to happen is you will end up diluting your advantage. And your advantage, well, I'll get into what your advantage is in just a second. I say this though because I remember when I started, it was so tempting to look at them and be like, okay, they have four $27 products, they have three $99 products, and they have four lead magnets. Great. I need to do the exact same thing, right? Not great. Wrong. Very, very wrong. It's attracting to look at those setups, those stand stores, those offers. It's attracting to look at that and say, oh, I need to do that, right? But the thing is, that is not a good strategy if you're trying to optimize for revenue while having a small audience. And the reason is because the real strategy behind these top earners with these big audiences is massive inbound attention. Like the main strategy is just drive as much traffic to my, offer as I possibly can through whatever, social media platform they choose to do that through. And their whole strategy is basically having these again, not everybody, but just from what I gathered from a lot of the people, they're all extremely smart. I'm not trying to make them sound like they're not, but they're all doing like low friction impulse buys, right? That's why they have so many low ticket items and they're able to scale it. It's so next to impossible to scale a low ticket item if you have a tiny audience, right? You just won't scale it. That only works if you have a massive audience. And, as my audience size grows, I'm sure I'll also evolve and, try out different things like them. Like, I'm not hating on their business model. I'm just saying it won't work for a micro creator like myself and like likely you watch, right? Like you'll see them have this $27 to $99 product. You'll have lots of starter packs or guides or free lead magnets. You'll have multiple, sometimes unrelated offers. And again, this just won't work for us. This only works for them because their audience is already pretty warm. They have a big audience and their volume is huge, right? They're bringing in a ton of traffic and they don't need as much clarity as you and I may need in our offers, right? They just need monetization density. They just need tons and tons of traffic. We do not have that constraint. And that's why, copying them, having multiple offers, having multiple call to actions, having different price points. When you are starting out trying to make money with a small YouTube channel, you'll be shooting yourself in your foot because if you have all these different complexities, you'll be creating a decision paralysis for your YouTube first audience. So with your business ecosystem, with your offer, with your landing page, whatever it is, whether you're using Stand Store, whether you're using whatever you decide to use, it needs to remove all decisions, not add them. Okay? You need to avoid having too many decisions for them to take. Your offer, your Stand Store, your whatever, it should be a funnel, not a menu. Okay? It should be a funnel, not a menu. And this is the first thing I wanted to talk about. Making sure that you don't overbuild this menu of different things to buy, but instead you're very clear on your funnel of what's the main thing they should buy. Now you could have different things, but there should be a focus on one main thing that you want to sell. That's the first thing that I did and locked in on when scaling to 100K in 30 days using YouTube and Stand Store. Okay? That's what I did. I realized I'm playing a different game with them. I have different unfair advantages. So I need to be smart and do a different strategy. This right here, guys, is the strategy. The strategy is not to build a menu of products. The strategy is to build a focused product, okay? That's the first point I want to tell you right now. Because while these big creators with big followings are monetizing on attention, we need to monetize on intent. That means your offer should feel more boring but more obvious. Now that leads me into the next thing that I really put a lot of time, energy, and attention on when growing to 100K with a small audience using Stand Store and YouTube, and it was productizing. Now, before you click away or click off because you think you've already heard this a million times, I think I'm going to have a relatively unique perspective on this because I have had more feedback from how insane my products have been than anything else that I've ever done. With that being said, I find that so often, I see that these people just create what they think is going to be cool in terms of a product versus what your audience actually wants, okay? This is really important. I see this mistake being made all the time. People will just create something because they think it's what their audience wants. But guess what? Let me let you in on a little secret here, guys. I'm pretty sure it works on other platforms, but in terms of YouTube specifically, you can actually ask your audience. There's something called the community post feature. This is exactly what I did. I knew that I needed to meet the market where they were at and not assume where they were at. So I went to YouTube posts and I literally wrote down 3 different posts. I said, hey guys, super curious. What are your biggest pain points in terms of, making money with YouTube or just YouTube growth? Boom. Separate post. Hey guys, what is your deepest desires or desired result that you want with YouTube growth or making money online with YouTube, right? Boom. Third post was, hey guys, what could I create if I created something and gave it to you for free or sold it, what would you wish would be in there in order to provide the most amount of value? You could go back on my history on my YouTube channel community posts. I asked 3 different posts, those 3 different questions, and I let the audience tell me what to do, what they wanted, what their pains were, what their desires were, and then I built an MVP product accordingly. So let me backtrack. MVP means your minimum viable product. Basically, the minimum amount of effort that it takes to build something kind of raw, it's like a first draft when you're scripting, right? You have the idea, you brainstorm, you write a first draft, and then you write a final draft. And MVP is basically your first draft. So I basically built my first draft, or my MVP, of the offer that I came up with based off of the response I got from asking, not assuming. And then I let people test it. And I did this fast. Remember in the last video I said speed's the name of the game. I literally built this MVP in like 2 days or less, and I already had people testing it on day 3. Then I let them test it for about 3 days to a week. Ideally, you do it for a little bit longer, but I didn't have time on my side here because I was also competing in a competition, the one that I won in order to go meet Gary Vee. And after about 6 days, a little less than a week, it was somewhere around there, I got feedback. Then I iterated on the feedback, right? I basically took that feedback and I added or took away features or tools or educational resources based on that feedback. Again, meeting the market where it's at, letting them tell me what they want, what their pains, what their desires are, versus me just assuming. See, lately I've been obsessing over like the top 1%, people, or like the disruptors of this world, if you will. I mean, I read a lot of books about it. You can even see my pile of books here. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see it, but I have another pile of books up there. And it's basically just like, I obsess over, sorry, I'm just making sure that my audio is going because this is the second time I'm filming this video because my audio wasn't playing the first time. And in doing that, I've read all the autobiographies from, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, I've read about Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, you name it, all of like the quote unquote disruptors of this world, trying in pursuit to find out what the like key differentiator is. Well, what's that like one thing they all have in common that, because at the end of the day, we're all humans. What they accomplished because they had like something different going on within themselves. And I'm trying to figure that out. And of course, it's not that simple, right? There's many, many things that go into it. However, there is a commonality amongst many commonalities, but one big one that stood out to me that I found when reading about these disruptors or researching them was product. That's real. Productizing. Elon Musk, he created Tesla. You know this. Electric cars existed before Tesla. He just made that product better than anybody else in the world. MySpace existed before Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg just made Facebook better than anything else in the world. There were online e-commerce before Amazon. Jeff Bezos just made it better than anything else in the world. You see, it's not about inventing all the time, even though some of them are inventors. It's not about just inventing. It's also about creating an insane product. So I took that same philosophy into my products. And I zoomed out and asked myself, if let's say it's $1,000 for whatever you're selling, I mentally took $1,000 out of my account and I told myself, as unbiasedly as I thought I could possibly be, if I just spent $1,000 on this, would I be taking this right now over the moon? Like, wow, I want to send him more money because this is such a good product. Or would I be like, oh, man, I can't believe I just dropped a whole $1,000 on this product. And until I got it to the point where I felt like I would have paid myself 15 times the amount that I did, that's when I knew I had a good product. Additionally, I like to also, have my wife go through it and people who have zero context. Like I like my dad to go through it. And when they all say, whoa, that was insane. And especially it's important, like for example, my father, my dad, he will give it to me straight. Like if something sucks, he'll tell me it sucks. And it's really important to have those people and know who those people are and go to those people for this part with your product. Because when you can have them be like, whoa, this is insane, then you have something good. And in addition to that, the beta testers I had, the ones who gave me feedback, I was waiting for somebody to tell me. I wanted somebody to tell me, Dylan, like I feel like I need you to invoice me more money for this product. I literally in my mind, I was like, this would be really cool. This was when I would not have a good product. Sure enough, I literally got something very close along those lines where one of the beta testers literally told me I feel like I need to invoice you for like triple the amount, or you need to invoice me for like triple the amount because this is so valuable. That's when I knew I had a good product. Okay. And what is the key fundamentals of building a good product? It's really focusing massively on solving pain points and getting them wins, quick wins, and getting them to their desired state or result as fast as possible. That's really like, if your product can do that, it's a pretty good product. Now you can do things to improve your product from there, right? Like, one of the best ways that I improved my product was giving insane out of this world resources, like building custom softwares as resources instead of just like Google Docs or Notion templates like everybody else. So taking this philosophy of the top 1% or disruptors of this world and building my products out like that, that was, I think, one of the biggest needle movers or levers that I pulled on in order to make, in order to win this awesome plaque right here that shows that I made 100K in 30 days on Stan, and I did it with a small YouTube channel. Productizing was one of those levers that I pulled. So that's the second thing that I wanted to go over. Now, the third thing that I wanted to go over is backend, okay? Because here's the thing. I knew that if you're a micro creator and you're trying to scale with YouTube and you're trying to keep the whole ecosystem simple, I'm all about keeping it lean. I like my team's extremely small, and ideally I don't even have one. Ideally I have just like me if possible. But like, I like to keep things lean and mean, okay? Meaning as like little amount of people as possible, as cheap as possible, as minimalistically as possible, and as least amount of time as possible. And I feel like a lot of people resonate with that. So in doing so, I knew that I had to have my back end dialed in. I knew I needed to be smart and strategic, because I knew that the people who are, they don't have to have back end so dialed in when you have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people or traffic coming into your offer every single day, or your Standstore page, or your funnel, or your whatever it is, what have you, right? I don't have that. I know when you're a micro creator, you don't. You have to be, I'm not saying that people aren't smart. They're very smart. I'm just saying that we have to be a little bit more optimized and dialed in on the back end. So what are ways that I did that? The first way, and even like when I was in person at VaynerMedia with Gary Vee, John Hu was there, the creator, the founder, the owner of Standstore. I literally shouted him out like in front of everybody. I was like, I just wanted to thank him so much for the email feature, because, Standstore has a built-in email marketing feature where you can build your own newsletter and send out emails. And the biggest needle moving thing I did in terms of backend was I set up something called email automation flows. Let's say that I have a free lead magnet, okay? So let's say I'm giving something for free, and in exchange for that free item, somebody has to give me their email address. Now, what I did was I was able to, let's say I pre-write 20 emails, right? I write them all. It takes four hours, or let's say as an example, and I write 20 emails, and I schedule those emails out to go out to that person once every single day. See, this is what an email flow does. It allows you to basically write a bunch of emails one time, and then it automatically gets sent to people thousands, hundreds of thousands of times when people go and download your free lead magnet, okay? So I have sent out over 100,000 emails on the back end and I only wrote those one time. Because now what happens is I set up these email flows where when somebody joins my free lead magnet, they put in their email address and then they trigger an automation. And that automation, and by the way, guys, this is so simple to set up. In my free training, first link in the description below, I literally show you guys how to set this up within Standstore. I show you my full backend in detail. Essentially, when somebody joins my free lead magnet, they put in their email and the automation's triggered. Now for the next 30 days, every single 2 days, they're going to get sent an email to them, and it's going to be value. It's going to be asking them a question, because ideally I get a response to make my email reputation go up. And it's going to be asking a question about how the free lead magnet is treating them. And then it's going to end with a call to action to my paid thing. What in the world? Bro, that's scary. Siri is just like listening to me like that. And then basically I'm writing one email up front, or I guess in this case, like 20 to 30 emails up front. And then it's going and sending out to people every time they join that free lead magnet. And it's pushing them to my paid thing. This right here is probably the most powerful lever that I pulled on in terms of the back end. Now, the second thing I want to talk about in addition to email flows that really helped me was architecting my back end. I will explain what this means in a second, but I first want you to understand that the whole purpose of this next point is clarity. And if you lack clarity, the whole system lacks. The whole system falls apart. You need to have bulletproof, fortified clarity on how every single offer and everything on your page interacts with each other and serves each other. There is nothing, like for example, I'm using StanStore, so I have different products on there. There is nothing on there, nothing that's on there on accident. Everything on there serves each other. And I'll share with you an example right now. Let's open up my Figma. If I open up my Figma, I am building out a new offer ecosystem on Stan right now because I've asked you guys what you've liked. And the last 3 videos I've posted, including this one, well, this one I don't have performance on yet, but the last videos I've posted where I've talked about how I made money with YouTube have been performing really well. And you guys have been saying that you've heard so much information about YouTube growth from me that you guys are loving this new kind of slight pivot where you guys have been loving me talking about how to grow on YouTube, but how to turn that into revenue. And I love that because I'm super passionate about this. I want to teach you guys how to make money with Stan and YouTube. Like I would love to do that. I want to do that. And that's what I'm doing right now. So if you guys find this valuable and you like this, let me know. With that being said though, I'm currently working on building out a new kind of ecosystem or new structure. And I'm going to show you guys how literally I was building this 45 minutes before. I'm not even close to finish. But so you guys can see I practice what I preach. Like I'm getting extreme clarity so I know that there's no holes in the bucket. So for example, I have 2 things. I'm going to be launching a program where I'm going to teach you guys step by step, nothing left out, how to make 6 figures with YouTube using 2 things, using YouTube and using StanStore. Until then, this is going to be a wait list, right? However, I literally just finished it and it's going to be linked right below this video. I released a completely free training so you guys can get free value. If you don't want to jump into the program, you could go get free value right now by taking that free training where I show you guys like the overview of how I did that, right? Like I'm doing in this video, but just way deeper and for like an hour long. And here, this is going to be my free training. So you guys literally put your name and your email and then you get that sent straight to you. You get automatically redirected to that. Now, I made sure I was like, okay, these need to serve each other, right? So this one right here, this free training, when you join this free training, you're going to automatically go into my email flow, and this free training is going to get its own email flow, right? The free training is the whole purpose of that email flow is going to try to get people into the program, to buy the program, or if the program's not out yet, to join the wait list. But let's say somebody goes and just joins the wait list. Well, the whole purpose of the wait list, I have an email flow already set up where it's literally just going to provide value and nurture so that when I do launch the course or the program, they'll already be ready to buy it and they'll be warm, right? Then I have 2 courses focused on YouTube growth, not so much money. This one is how to grow on YouTube, all the current strategies and systems I'm using for myself and for clients. And then this one is all of the AI systems I have in terms of YouTube, like all my thumbnails and all that stuff. These are all separate purchases. However, they each have their own email flow sequences on the back end. And these email sequences lead to one thing, both of them, to the free training. Because I know once I get you in the free training, this will lead you into my main paid program, which is how to make money with YouTube. Right? And this is just like the super MVP of me architecting it out. But guess what? If I didn't have this pen to paper, if I didn't have this mind mapped out, I would be lacking clarity and there would be holes in my bucket and it would just fall apart slowly. This makes it so it doesn't fall apart. I cannot tell you how important this is. Steve Jobs had a quote in his autobiography. There's a quote he once said, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember it totally, but it was something along the lines of like, if you don't plan essentially exactly how I'm teaching you how to do here, which by the way, Steve Jobs did for everything he built. So it's so important to take this information. If you don't do that, you're basically like, you're just burying your own grave essentially. I wish I could remember the quote. I do not remember the quote. But this was just an example of how I'm doing this right now within my own business, right? How I'm architecting out for clarity. So those were the 2 main things I want to talk about on the back end that I did that you should do that helped me make 100K in 30 days with a small audience. Now, the last main point I want to talk about is traffic. And traffic you guys are all familiar with because it's literally what this entire YouTube channel has been about up until I started talking more about how to be able to turn viewers into revenue as well. With that being said, if you guys want to absolutely crush it in terms of making revenue with your content-led businesses, so with YouTube, you need to, and this is what I did, just post aggressively. Be aggressive. Work harder than anybody else. But what do I mean? You can't just post a lot of content, because if you post a lot of content, you're just going to be making noise. It's more noise, it's more noise, it's more noise in an already noisy marketplace, right? YouTube's full of noise. It's a sea of sameness. You do not want to just post unoptimized content, because then you'll just be throwing it out into the void and creating more nonsensical noise that nobody wants to engage or listen to. And what you need to be doing is you need to be creating volume at focus. This is something that Gary Vee, I asked him exactly a question. I was like, if you're stripped from everything, what would you do? He literally told me I would be doing volume at focus. Focus volume. Meaning, I would be doing volume. I would set up systems so I could do volume, do content at volume, but being optimized. Now, there are 3 levers that you have to have in place to be optimized. Most people think they can't do content every day. I've been posting almost every day. I've been posting like four to 5 times a week lately, because I've been doing this a little bit more like raw style. What do I mean by raw? Literally everything else is the same as always. I'm just not scripting word for word, and I am not editing the videos. I am just coming here and I'm hitting on the 3 levers that I'm about to tell you. And guess what? I used to have my videos edited insane amounts, and I used to have my videos scripted word for word. And what's funny is they've been underperforming recently, but my last few videos where I've been talking about this, how to make money with YouTube, which is a big pain point I know my audience has, and I've been focusing on these 3 levers I'm about to reveal to you, I literally have had back-to-back 1 out of 10 videos, which is like the best video performance you could have for your channel. So, proof is in the pudding, right? And I'm doing it again here. Most people think when you post volume, quality volume, it's unsustainable because you need the videos to be scripted out, edited, all this stuff. Wrong. If you hit on these 3 levers, you can post every single day without burning out and still have high-performing content. So what are they? Idea, number 1. The most important thing in terms of YouTube, and I'm only speaking in terms of YouTube here because I don't know TikTok and I don't know Instagram well, okay? I don't, like, at all. I'm trying to make them work. I'm working with a couple people I met at VaynerMedia, some of the other winners. But right now, I'm horrible at it. That being said, YouTube's what I'm focused on right now. And the most important thing on YouTube is idea, the ideation. Now, I personally play this on easy mode because I use a tool. One of my good friends, Marcus Jones, he's literally the biggest YouTuber in the YouTube growth space. We talk pretty frequently. We were on a call for like almost 3 hours the other day. He invented a tool. He created a tool called Velio. It is the best research tool on the market. It's not, this video is not sponsored by him. I just want to push as much traffic to that as possible, because it is genuinely, if you said, Dylan, you can only use one tool to grow on YouTube, like on the growth part, it would be Velio, because idea is the number 1 most important thing out of anything else. If you guys don't have a good idea, nothing else matters. And Velio is a tool where you could literally go and research. It will literally give you ideas that are optimized and proven to perform well in your niche, or outliers in your niche. So for whatever topic you're talking about. Now, the next lever that you need to pull outside of ideation is your packaging. It's the second most important thing in terms of YouTube. It's your title and your thumbnail. You guys need to be focusing on this. For every single video I create, I have 3 different thumbnail concepts and I have 3 different title concepts. And you want to focus on the psychology of the click, meaning try to evoke some sort of curiosity. Try to hit a nerve on some sort of pain point or some sort of desire, and attach those to your packaging, to your thumbnail and title, visually or title, which is written. If you could do that, and I have videos that explain this way more in depth, you will crush it. And the third lever that you need to pull if you want to crush it with content is just focusing on value. Value. What is value? It is helping someone get a result that they wanted based off the perceived value they expected to get from your content, right? Mr. Beast, when you go and click on a Mr. Beast video, the perceived value is going to be entertainment. It's subjective, right? When you go and watch my video, the perceived value is you likely expect to learn a new tip, strategy, or advice on making money on YouTube or growing on YouTube, right? So if you guys just do as much volume as possible, trying to keep things as high quality as possible, right? But not focusing on the things that don't matter as much. For example, focusing on posting as much as you possibly can with those 3 levers. Focusing on idea, focusing on packaging, and focusing on value. There is 0% chance that you will lose if you do that consistently. 0%. The results are crazy, guys. Like guys, I am not lucky at all. I didn't have these unfair advantages when I started. Like, I literally was broke. I couldn't even afford to buy my kid food at one point, like over a year ago. And now, last month, I made 6 figures with a YouTube channel with 24,000. Well, I have 26,000 now, but it was at 24,000 subscribers. And I did it, guys, with YouTube and Stan Store. It is not like, it is literally, guys, you just need to have the system dialed in, and that's what it is. And another thing I want to say, just in terms of, which I didn't really have like thought out in my head at all, but one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give in terms of posting a lot and keeping it well, like I invested in what I needed to invest in so that I could turn on my light, I could turn on my backlights, I could turn on my camera and record, and everything's just here ready to go, right? Like I have my batteries always charging, so there's as little friction as possible. Like that's the goal. Now, with that being said, guys, if you focus on traffic aggressively with those 3 levers, if you guys understand we're not all playing the same game, if you guys understand that it is very important to create a good product, and you understand that it's important to have the back end kind of system really, really dialed in and play smart, like use the tools that, you know, people like StanStore give you in order to be more strategic and smart with the back end. And then also you guys focus on traffic and the 3 levers we talked about, there's 0% chance that you guys will fail. And now if you guys want to increase those chances even more, then I highly recommend you click the first link in the description below and you go watch that free training where I literally go over what we just went over, but like significantly more in depth. Also, I mentioned the tool Valio. I'll also drop a link to that below as well if you guys want to check that out too. Now, with that being said, I just wanted to really quickly take a second and I wanted to massively, massively thank StanStore. I wanted to thank all of the wonderful staff that I met when I was at VaynerMedia. I want to thank Gary V and the awesome people that I got to meet, connect with, and that worked at VaynerMedia on Gary V's team. And also John Hu, the creator of Stan. Honestly, the most down-to-earth, cool guy I've ever met and spoken to. And I'm very, very honored. Like I said, I'm software agnostic. But StanStore is making me feel like I'm not so much. And this isn't sponsored by them, but like I just want to thank them for the opportunity of building such a cool product that creators like you and me who have, 20, like less than 50K subs, we can still build a substantial amount of revenue for ourselves and our families because we can use tools like this to work smarter, not harder, okay? To be able to dial things in so that we can level the playing field. And I'm kind of honored to where them right now. So I just want to thank them, thank the team. And also, guys, if you don't want to go watch that free training below, you want to stay on YouTube, then it's also important for you to know how to grow on YouTube in the first place. So, because ideally we don't want to stay micro creators forever, right? We want to grow to the next level. We want to consistently improve and take things to the next step. And if you want to do that, you want to learn how to grow on YouTube, then you could watch this video right here. It is a 4-hour plus long free course on how to grow on YouTube. As you can tell, I give away a lot of stuff for free because value first does matter. I talk about it a lot in these videos and I practice what I preach. So thank you guys so much for watching this. Appreciate you. Let me know if you guys like this new format and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.